Greetings, beloved family, and welcome to Live with Chatufa. We are here on this very platform that we give you every time what is happening in our nation, around our neighbors, as well as all over the world. We are looking at issues that are very, very important pertaining to the freedom of the Zimbabwean people. As we continue to see the 2030 issue becoming more and more of a heated issue right across the nation of Zimbabwe, we see many people coming out, even talking about this very discussion, and with many people really indicating that they are unhappy. Zimbabweans definitely are against the idea of this 2030, which Mnangagwa and his ZANU PF people are planning behind doors. The Zimbabwe Council of Churches also have come out and have rejected the 2030 move of Emerson Mnangagwa. And this indeed is a call that is coming from more and more other pressure groups that are coming out condemning the very act that Mnangagwa is trying to engage himself into. It seems Emerson Mnangagwa has not been sincere with the nation of Zimbabwe when he came and he spoke about himself planning to resign, yet he knew that behind the scenes he was planning with his structures of ZANU PF to start making noise about it, so he can give an excuse of why he may want to extend the term or continue to be in power until 2030. Of course, we do know that these are just plans and dreams that they can continue to say, but it's not going to be happening on the ground. Many forces are against him, and for him to be able to succeed on this one, it's not going to be as easy as he might think, and of course as easy as those ones who are pushing this, the brigades of the 2030 agenda are pushing this idea, but it's not going to be a very easy task. So as for the churches, the Zimbabwe Council of Churches, we have been talking about these issues, encouraging the church leaders, the church, to come out and to speak against the plans and the oppression of Mnangagwa, the corruption, and all the like that we are seeing happening in the nation of Zimbabwe. And when we begin to see them coming out to talk about issues like this one, we really recommend and commend them for what they are doing. And indeed, we say kudos to you, leaders of the Zimbabwe Council of Churches, for speaking out on behalf of the citizens of Zimbabwe. This is what is expected of church leaders. We don't want to hear church leaders like Utaunashe, Andrew Utaunashe, who came out saying that Zimbabweans are crybabies. There are no problems in Zimbabwe. There's no unemployment. There's no hunger and poverty in Zimbabwe. Zimbabweans are just crybabies. Surely we don't expect that from somebody who is supposedly a man of God, someone who is supposed to be speaking truth, who is supposed to be preaching truth and standing for the gospel of Jesus Christ, cannot be found to be speaking like that. And we've been saying this over and over again while we talk about these church leaders and say these are the same church leaders that are milking the very poor people dry by taking money from them scandalously and through hook and crook. And at the same time, these are the people that are supporting and enabling the oppressor of the very same people of Zimbabwe. And it's high time that our people must begin to distance themselves from especially these men of God who are attaching themselves to ZANU PF. And it is very, very sad, a very sad development. We've also seen that with the Mtendi, Nehemiah Mtendi. Of course, we do understand that he's said to be a relative of Mnangagwa. We don't know how far true that is, but he is also a very, very strong supporter. And Mnangagwa would always want to lean on people like Mtendi because they have hundreds and hundreds of people in their churches, and they just give an instruction that all of you shall vote for ZANU PF. So to Mnangagwa is looking at votes according to the numbers of people that are in that particular church, and that's all he's looking at. And for himself, it's not for anything else. And this is exactly what we are seeing happening. So when we see other churches also beginning to join in, other men of God joining in this very, very evil agenda of ZANU PF that has caused the suffering of the Zimbabwean people for all this long, we really are saddened by this. So for those that have spoken out, for the leadership of the Zimbabwe Council of Churches, we definitely are saying thank you so much for coming out, for speaking like servants of God, for speaking the truth, and for standing for the constitution of the land. The constitution of the land is sacrosanct. No one can come out and want to challenge the constitution of Zimbabwe the same way that we are seeing these ZANU PF people doing in their foolish rallies, where they are just encouraging each other that constitution does not mean anything. Constitution is made by people. Yes, it is made by people, but it's a binding document that you cannot just wake up the 300 or 200 of you gathered in some hall and you think you can want to go against a constitution that has been made by the totality of all the Zimbabwean citizens and voted for and endorsed it. You can't wake up one day and just decide to change it. And Mnangagwa knows that. So for them to come out and want to vilify the constitution and speak down against it, it is not going to be working. It's not working. It's wrong, and it is not the way to go. And ZANU-PF people must begin to learn. They must learn to respect the constitution of the country. We don't care that you are the ones in power. Being in power does not mean you are empowered to disregard the constitution of the land. Actually, what gives you power is actually that very constitution. And you don't come in power and you start turning against the very constitution of Zimbabwe. That is barbaric. That is barbaric, because the very same power that you tell yourselves that you have, it comes or it is derived from the constitution that has been designed and endorsed by the Zimbabwean people. So it can't work and it will not work. So we will continue to be speaking out, and Zimbabwean people shall continue to speak out, and the more pressure needs to be put against all these funny ideas that ZANU-PF and their surrogates are having. And we've seen quite a lot of them coming out to support and to stand with this idea. But this definitely is an idea that is going to pull Zimbabwe down. It's not going to be helping Zimbabwe at all. It's going to be making our country a laughing stock of the world. This will continue to pull down the country. This country cannot prosper as long as we have people that are speaking against the very constitution while the whole world is listening. And they will start to say, what kind of a nation is this? What kind of people do not respect their own laws? You see, if you can't respect laws that you have made for yourselves, then are you going to ever respect other people or the laws of other people? So it doesn't work like that. So ZANU-PF must be warned. They must stop this nonsense and begin to respect the constitution of the land. And we definitely are all bound by the constitution. No one is above it, whether it's Mnangagwa or whoever. Nobody is above the constitution of the land of Zimbabwe. So I just want us to listen to what the leaders of the Zimbabwe Council of Churches have said as they have come out and spoken. Reverend Wilfred Domingo of the Zimbabwe Council of Churches reaffirms commitment to constitutionalism, rejecting calls for Emmerson Mnangagwa's third term. And this is exactly what we are saying. Kudos to them. This is good work done by these leaders. Let's hear what they had to say.
Our position as a church is like what we said in our statement, that we promote constitutionalism and we support constitutionalism. And as we congratulated the president for publicly announcing that he will step down and retire after his term of office. And we are aware that there are some voices within the ZANU-PF party that are calling for the president to continue. And as a church, we don't support that narrative, because we believe that the constitution is there to be respected, and the constitution cannot be amended or changed or disrespected in any way because of a popular demand. The constitution is a sacred document that has to be respected. And as a church, we stand by constitutionalism and will not support a process that seeks to undermine the constitution, particularly our progressive constitution that came out in 2013 after a referendum which is people-driven. So we call upon the people of Zimbabwe to respect the constitution, and as a church, we always stand for constitutionalism. And I repeat, we will not support a process that does not respect constitutionalism.
Right. So there is it. That's factual. Those are facts. And the man, the leader has just spoken. The reverend has really spoken out clearly. Everything is very clear. Everyone must respect the constitution of the land. No one has a right to speak against it, to go against it, to just decide. You wake up one day and just say, we want to forgo the constitution and start to do other things. No, there's no nation that runs like that. We have nations that have been holding on to their constitution. It's very unfortunate that our own constitution in Zimbabwe is one constitution that just continues to be amended and amended and amended. There are countries that have not even amended their constitution. Constitution remains the same thing. What they've agreed then still stands even today. You see, that is principle. But we as Zimbabwean people, if we don't learn to be principled, and then we get excited because of connections to some people that are dictators who don't want to respect the rule of law, and then we are excited because one way or the other we are eating through that, we are feeding through that, we are enriching ourselves through that. That is very unfortunate, and it's not expected in a country that really wants to see the rule of law and even progress happening. So the country will continue to go down as long as we have people that think like these Masvingo province people, Mashonaland East people, and all these ZANU-PF caucuses that are discussing about this. But the truth of the matter is that not everyone in ZANU-PF, in fact, 3/4 of the people in ZANU-PF, they don't want Mnangagwa to continue. And Mnangagwa is trying to play some tricks, and he thinks that is very clever by gathering up his parrots to start to sing about the 2030 agenda, and then he wants to do like he's acting according to those ones. He must ask the Zimbabwean people, not ZANU-PF people, what are Zimbabwean people saying? Not ZANU-PF people. ZANU-PF is not Zimbabwe, as we always say, and Zimbabwe is not ZANU-PF. So they must understand that. And that is a fact that ZANU-PF people must get to understand, that whatever that they want, it is according to them and their own people and their own party. That does not affect Zimbabwe as a nation. The nation of Zimbabwe is now the totality of everyone. It's now the gathering of every Zimbabwean. If they want Mnangagwa to continue, they must appeal to the Zimbabwean people, and all of us will come and speak and find out whether we want this to happen in a referendum. If Zimbabweans say no, then it's a no. So this idea of saying it was made by people, it can be changed by people. The people that can change it are not ZANU-PF people. The people that can change it is a collective Zimbabwean people. Everyone involved and everyone included, without any of the people that are being coerced or frog-marched to these kind of decisions. So this is what it is, family. We will continue to be watching, but we say kudos to the Zimbabwe Council of Churches for rejecting that, and we are saying this is the way forward. We want to see other progressive groups also coming out to stand and defend the Constitution of Zimbabwe. Thank you so much for joining me on this show. We will be continually giving you updates. Let's meet again in the upcoming shows. Remain blessed.